You're listening to the Thriving Mindfully podcast. I'm Ananda Leeke, your Thriving Mindfully coach and podcast host. I'm also an artist, an author, a human design doula, and an interfaith reverend. The Thriving Mindfully podcast is a heart-centered, digital sacred space that I created to inspire and empower you to be present, well, and the real you. Tune into the latest conversation I've been having with myself and others about nurturing, transforming, and celebrating our lives, relationships, and career. Welcome, everybody, to season 6. It's a brand new season, brand new year, episode 2. And I am so happy that my soul sister love, Laura, is going to join me for a juicy conversation. We're talking about trusting yourself, trusting yourself, and serving with your gifts. So, Laura, let's just jump right in. Thanks for being here. We love having you, so you're always welcome. And tell everybody who you are, your name, where you're based, how they can find you on social media, and how you share your gifts with the universe.
Okay, well, thank you, Ananda, for having me here on this beautiful, dull and grey day in the UK. I am in England, and my skills, my abilities, my gifts and talents lend themselves best, as far as I know so far, to death work. So I deal with those who are approaching their death. I work with those who are perhaps dying actively. I work within the funeral industry. And as a hypnotherapist, I concentrate my focus on dying, death, and particularly grief, how we handle grief, where it sits in our bodies, and how we disperse grief or transmute the energy so that it's more positive for us all and for those of us who have passed as well.
And you're also the author of 2 of my favorite books that have helped me tremendously. I still am plowing through just the beginning parts of it. So tell us about your books.
Certainly. So My Life's Tapestry is an end-of-life guide. So through that book, people, families can come together to chart the life of their loved one with their loved one, and then use the book to detail the kind of end-of-life experience that they would rather enjoy or rather prefer to experience, rather. We say this because so many of us get to the point of the end of our lives and the experience is somewhat ruined because we didn't plan in advance for it, because our family members didn't know what we might want or need at that time. Often at that time, those that call themselves professionals swoop in and say, this is how it's going to be. At times that is contrary to the experience that was desired. Sometimes we don't express our desires out of fear. We think perhaps that talking about death is going to make it come a lot sooner. We all know that we will pass away and transition at some point in our lives, and so it's best to be prepared for it. So in My Life's Tapestry, we talk about the life the person had, the experiences, the schools they went to, the meals, the music. We talk about all of it. And then we talk about the traditions and their culture and what matters to them. And then we do speak about their possessions and where they would like for them to go. The book is not a will, but it's a really good guide that allows people, families in particular, to distribute, to, make clear to everybody in order to allay any conflict or any kind of dispute that may arise after our loved one passes away. So then we ask questions such as, would you rather pass away at home
Mhm.
Would you, like to be resuscitated, force-fed? There are certain questions that need to be asked that we don't necessarily want to ask. But once we know the answers, we can just breathe a little bit easier. So, yeah, that's the same with, the funeral details as well. That way we can go to the funeral and director and say, Mum wanted this,
Mhm.
Dad said this is how it shall be. These were her favourite flowers.
Yeah.
We also have space on there as well for the carers to make notes and for people to leave their condolences. And this book is a gift for those of the future generations. So they can look back and say, great, 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 great grandma did this,
Right.
wanted this, enjoyed this. That's the school. These are the family members. Yeah, that's my life's tapestry. The other book is Tapestries of Grief. And through that book, I define grief. I state that in my lifetime, I've never come across a textbook that was written for somebody who looks like me, from my origins, perhaps. And I'm a 40-something-year-old African, Caribbean, British woman. So I'm speaking from my perspective, my experiences, which is rather much like what Prince Harry is doing, and he is being lambasted for doing so. They wouldn't like my truth anymore than his. But, there are different experiences that we have in the UK, and often they're airbrushed over because the dominant narrative is always that which is recognised before all others. So Tapestries of Grief is rather much like a study book that allows us to come together in groups to discuss our experiences, to recognise where our grief generates from, descends from, and allows us to acknowledge our ancestors and the grief that they carried, recognising too that there's the Industrial Revolution and that everybody carries generational grief. That spills over into the workplace, it spills over into the home life and beyond. So, yeah.
Yes, your work has helped me expand my understanding of grief. And it's a lifeline into grief that shows up not only when a loved one or a friend or someone passes, but loss. And we had a series, everybody, of Instagram lives that we did last year. And we really took a deep dive into the different types of grief. And in particular, we were looking at, because I was dealing with and still am dealing with pandemic grief. And we're not going to go into that because that's another conversation for another time. But I want folks to know that you came to this work from a very personal experience. And can you tell folks just a little bit about that? Because this just didn't, you just didn't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to be a funeral attendant. Am I saying it right? Attendant.
Yeah, I call myself a death care practitioner.
A death care practitioner. Yeah, you didn't wake up with that. And that wasn't something that you checked on a form saying, I want to go to school to become that.
Yes. And it doesn't exist. So, it's just.
Well, it does because it's you.
It does. It exists. It's me. And my intention is to create many other death care practitioners. But how I came into the role was, it's been an evolution. Throughout my life, I've been exposed to death. I followed a baby that passed away. Both of my parents, my mother worked with people who were experiencing cancer. My father was an engineer on the underground, and often death played a role in the service, let's say. A cousin of my father's came to visit us one day, and he passed away outside our house. That opened many opportunities for question. Is he gone? What's happened to him? This doesn't make sense. What's going to happen now? In 2016, my aunt experienced cancer. It was 2015. she had cancer. And I was able to spend the night with her before she passed away. And this again rose so many questions within me. What's going on here? And, you know, who are our funeral directors, and who are our funeral celebrants, and who is doing this most precious end of life work? Because surely this is a service, it must exist. So I went in search to find out who are the death midwives, and I came across the doulas, and I started training with them. But the word doula means slave in Greek. And I found that in the training, again, they were not addressing us and our needs. We, again, didn't exist. So that's when I decided, right, I'm an end of life guide. I'm going to set up a work, a process through which we can all do this work. We've been dying longer than anybody else on the planet. Why are we not in charge of our own death? You know, does it make sense that we're handing our bodies over to people that don't look like us, that don't respect us, that are not interested in our cultures and traditions? But then I also recognize that in America it's different because of the, you know, because of the segregation. You guys were able to form your own funeral directors and your own industry of death, dying and grief, which is something that we are sadly lacking behind, but the work is now being done.
Awesome. Yeah, I love your story, everybody. And where can people hear more about your story and your work, your social media platforms that you show up on most?
Okay, so I show up most on LinkedIn under Laura D. Pusey. I also create videos on TikTok that under Dipism, Death in Practice, DIPISM. So under Dipism, I then share them to Instagram and YouTube. So my channels are Dipism, DIPISM.
All right, everybody, I want you to tune in to Laura to get more of her wisdom. So we're going to go right into the heart of today's conversation. I just wanted to give folks a context. One other thing that people don't realize is that Laura is a trailblazer in the African diaspora community worldwide, and she has done something that deserves a highlight in bringing folks together and training them. So tell people a little bit about that organization.
Okay, so not only did I decide that I would do this work, but I decided that I would find everybody up and down the country that is doing this work. So where are our funeral directors and our celebrants? Where are our end-of-life guides? Where are our drummers, caterers, DJs? You know, where are our florists? Because we don't have many, but they are there. We're all doing the work in some way, shape or form, but we're all somewhat isolated. So my intention, well, my instruction was to create a directory and to allow people to enter the directory. It's free, but it's necessary so that when somebody passes away in your area, you know, right, okay, I'll just go to FACFO and find out who's closest to me. So FACFO is the Federation of African and Caribbean Funeral Operatives. I am working with Radical Death Studies that are based in America. And in February, we are doing a very large 4-week presentation to our American brothers and sisters. That's also going to be filled with the English academic people as well, who are going to find out who we are, you know, because we are here and it's time for us to be recognized. So the federation, within that, I have I'm working with amazing people who are very long qualified professionals who are overlooked by the industry as it stands at the moment. We have the ability to train people up to be funeral directors and celebrants and end-of-life guides and embalmers too. And so we are doing this work.
This is really powerful. I'm excited. I come from a family. One of the the lines of the Leeke family has funeral homes, and
Ah,
the Leeke and Sons Funeral Home. And I have to give a shout out to my cousins in Chicago, Spencer Leeke, who heads it all up.
lovely.
And if you're looking like us and you're in Chicago, you know the Leeke and Sons Funeral Home and the history of it. And yeah, enough about the funeral industry and grief. Not that we can't have long conversations, but I want to know, what does trusting yourself mean to you
Mm,
as a
okay.
whole person, not just as
Yeah,
an entrepreneur, um, a hypnotherapist. Did I say a hypnotherapist?
yeah,
Yeah,
hypnotherapy.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And
it's a really interesting question.
mhm.
So, okay, I'm going to just ask you to just repeat it again for me.
Yes, sure, of course. What does trusting yourself mean to you?
Right. So it's been a journey,
Mhm,
a journey. And, you know, it's very easy to be swayed when you know what it is, when you're given, because I think we're given, yeah? So
mhm,
when you're given your instructions and your insights, it's very easy to be swayed if you speak to others about them and say, I'm going to do this, you know, I'm going to do that.
mm,
I have found that in this work, because I am death, dying, death, and grief,
mhm,
many other people haven't been able to understand. Why do you want to do that?
mhm,
Why do you want to be involved in that? Why do you want to work with dead people and dying people? Doesn't make sense. It's nasty. Oh, I'm scared.
mhm.
So, you know, a lot of the delays that I've experienced have been because I've opened my mouth, maybe looking for support to from people who perhaps can kind of share my journey with me.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that, especially this year, is I'm just sort of like really calming down on that,
Mhm.
recognizing that this is mine, this has been given. So I would say if you're given something, recognize that it was given to you.
Mhm.
If everybody had it, then everybody would be talking about it and it'd be buzzing. If nobody's, just keep it, just listen,
Mhm.
stay, sit with it, be
Mhm.
comfortable with the discomfort that it may bring. Don't
Mhm.
worry about how people are going to receive you.
Mhm.
It's, I don't know if that actually answers the question.
No, it does. It does. I wanted to say that when I was listening to you share um, the the core pieces of trust and what has gotten in your way of you
Mm,
trusting, you kept
mm,
saying when you've been given, and I think I know what you mean. It's when the ancestors speak to you, or if you have a relationship with a higher being and the ancestors, it's that internal voice, that wisdom, that gut, that heart, that like
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. And if you then say, like, you know, double guess or, you know, doubt
Mhm,
yourself, doubt what you've heard, and
mhm,
go and speak to somebody else about it,
mhm.
you know, it's going to be corrupted because they are not you. They
Right.
do not see what you've been given.
Yeah.
They don't have that um, at the top of their list of priorities
Yeah.
because it's not along their vibration. It was given
Mm.
to you. It vibrates with you and you alone. Now, somebody else might have that same idea, but that they have is not what you've been given.
Mhm.
So I've long struggled with the concept of competition because
Yes.
it doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
Why would you fear that somebody else has got? They are not you.
Take
They
it.
can't do you, you know? And I was speaking with somebody recently and she said, I'm not perfect. I said, really? I am. And
Mhm.
she repeated it. She said, I'm not perfect. I said, I am.
Mhm.
Okay. I do Laura perfectly.
Mhm.
Nobody else can do Laura better than me. I
Mhm.
can't do Ananda. I can't do Sarah. I can't do Jane. I can only do Laura and I do her perfectly. So with that in mind, I don't have to go and ask anybody else questions on how I should do Laura. Just trust that I'm doing Laura, and that every breath I take is guided and ordained and necessary for the work that they want me to do.
I love your viewpoint on trust. How do you cultivate it? How do you strengthen it? What are you doing during the seasons? Because I know we talked in our monthly conversations, because everybody, Laura is my soul sister. She's my peer accountability person. We've been meeting every month since we met last year during Marilyn Fontaine's challenge. Shout out to our coach, Marilyn Fontaine in London. Yeah. So how are you cultivating the self-trust, especially during the winter season?
Well, before I joined Marilyn's session, I didn't know about the seasons and how to work with them and get the best out of them. And I would say that was the biggest thing, the biggest gift that I received from Marilyn.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize I'm a hermit, and I need to hibernate.
Yes.
In order to recharge. And so last year was the first year that I then understood why I had been so burnt out and why I was flat. I think when we met, I was just like, ugh. And then I realized spring is coming. For the first time ever, I then felt spring. Actually, for the first time, I was like, wow, I'm feeling spring inside me. I'm ready. Launch. Summer was about, reaping. August, well, no, not reaping, I suppose, doing the work. August was about starting to, see the work develop and see things grow. Now we're back into winter. I decided to take time off social media, the month off, and I've still not really returned back. And for me, a lot of this is about staying in my house, keeping myself to myself so that I can hear, so that I'm not distracted. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people have to be out and about. Some people are social people, but I need to be inside in order to replenish, so that when I do go out, I can give my all. So that's really how I found working with the seasons. And I'd say last year was a practice. This year, I'm like, right, I'm ready for you now. I know what's coming. I'm going to, right, let's do this. So, I've also discovered as well that I resonate with delta waves.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, delta waves are like the lowest frequency that you can experience. They help with sleep. They help with replenishing. They help with transmuting, transforming things, transforming energy as well as matter. So often before I go to sleep now, I'll put on delta waves that just take me into a deeper sleep, so that when I wake up in the morning, I feel a little bit more refreshed and right, okay, ready. I slept. Whereas often sometimes, we may go to sleep, but we don't actually get to those deeper parts of us. Yeah.
I love that you're using sound healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you tuning into your own, like a recording of some sort, or how are you accessing this delta wave sound healing?
Oh, just through YouTube. Through YouTube.
All
Delta
right.
waves for sleep. For some people, they may respond to gamma waves or alpha waves. There are so many other waves that we are even, unaware of at present, but we are all frequency, we're all vibration. And so when you find your vibration, or when you are in alignment with a certain vibration, because it may fluctuate, we might find that there are quite a few that sort of work with us, and then after a while they may not work with us anymore, the higher we go. This year for me, very much my work is going to concentrate around dying high, dying. So it's imperative that we die with a high vibration, because the way the circle goes, it's necessary. It's necessary, so that what comes up is high quality. Yep.
I love it. I love
Probably
it.
Another day.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful, because everybody, what you're hearing is a woman who has taken the time to listen and trust her inner voice and her body. You heard her talk about she felt it inside. You heard her talk about it's been given to her. How would she know that? Because of her body. Your body has wisdom. Having awareness and then honoring it, your body, by being what, for me, it's being soft as fuck. It's slowing down and offering yourself freedom today. And you do that by carving out this time. And Laura's been talking about how she's been using the seasons. There are many different ways for you to access this trust. I think of trust as a muscle. So find what works for you. It may be seasons. It could be yin yoga. I know for me, during this winter season, it's a yin season in traditional Chinese medicine. I have come back to my yin yoga practice that was high and flowing before the pandemic. I would go to a weekly class, sometimes twice a week, and then do it at home. Now I'm back in a studio, shout out to Yoga District on Sundays, and I'm taking a class. And it's now showing up in my home practice with doing some yin yoga in the bed and then on the mat. So it's little things like that. It's also human design. And if you stay tuned to a message after this show, you'll hear more about human design. I don't want to take up all the time. Laura, is there anything else that you want to share with the listening audience before we sign off about trust, about the work that you're doing? Any messages that may have come up that you just feel, I gotta say it. It doesn't even have to be in alignment with what we shared. I just trust that if it needs to come out, it's gonna come out.
Okay, just what I would say is that trusting yourself is the highest thing that you can do, and be certain that the messages that you've got are for you. Keep your vibration high so that you can't be infiltrated. But I had a session with a person this week who is, getting to grips with his spirituality. Yes. And he has gone and had his message or messages, and then consulted psychics, and this psychic and that psychic and this psychic. Somebody must be able to confirm and all this kind of stuff. Keep your power to yourself. The more people that you talk to about you, I've made this mistake. This is me. Like you might as well just say my DNA is all over the internet, because, my name and address and, details and date of birth and time of birth, the journey, the journey. I would just love to protect more people who are going out and seeking, to just say to them, what you need is all inside of you. Okay. You really don't need to be going out to this one, that one, that one. And also be aware that when you're seeking advice from others, they may be on a different vibration. They may be on different energies. And there are constantly spirits that are taking from us, drawing from us. Yeah. So, we never know who's giving what to who. So just be aware that if you keep yourself inside you without seeking externally, then somebody like Ananda will come up to you and say, hey, blue's your color, and keep it moving. You will get those messages because your guides will show you the people that you need to speak to, communicate with, or receive from. I would say there is no time in spirit. So be comfortable with your own time and your use of it, You can speed it up, you can slow it down.
Mhm.
Trust that you have that ability, and balance. And I think I'm just talking a lot, but just
I love
make
it.
sure. Okay, for me, it's balancing the darkness with the light. You have to. The darkness is just as important, if not even more so. Before there was light, there was darkness. So what I would like to say is to maybe start to embrace your darkness.
Yeah.
Trust your darkness. Just because we have been spun a line that says that it's negative, it doesn't mean that it's true. We are from the darkness. And so by rights, it is to the darkness that we should be returning. But that is for another day. And I look forward to that day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you talking about the light and the dark. And everybody, one thing that I wanted to leave you with is that the winter season, which started on the solstice in December, the first day of the winter, goes until March 19th, the day before the spring equinox. And in traditional Chinese medicine, this is the yin, and that's a dark time. You know, if you're in many places in the world, not in all, the weather gets colder. I know we're having a London-like day today. You know, it's what it is.
Sorry.
And it's all right. It's all good. We had sun yesterday, and we have sun on the inside. You have to choose what weather you want to have, but it's a time when it gets cold, you know. And if you're in a part of the world that reflects that, take advantage of it. Slow down. Do the things that your body needs to rest, to reflect, to restore itself. Carve out the time. You get 1,440 minutes each and every day, and you can begin with just a minute practice and let that go from there to raise the vibration, like Laura said, to raise your vibration. So I want to end with saying thank you, my soul sister love. Again, tell folks where they can find you online, your website, and social media.
Okay, so you can find me at dipism.com. That's www.dipism.com. Dipism stands for Death in Practice. So that's business number one. Organization number one is FACFO, and that's the Federation of African and Caribbean Funeral Operatives. This is a global endeavor. You know, I'm looking for funeral direct. I'm just looking for everybody. So that, you know, when that time comes, we know who we're working with. So yes, you can find us there at www.facfo.org. That's facfo.org. I am on LinkedIn, Laura D. Pusey. I am on Instagram under Dipism, DIPISM. I'm the same under TikTok as well. And on YouTube as well, Dipism. So I'm around. I'm not the best at social media because at the moment I'm hibernating, but I'm there. You can find.
I would say that she's excellent. She just follows her intuition, her wisdom, and she trusts herself, and she shows up when she needs to show up. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. And
all right, everybody. I will include all of Laura's information, her website and her social media in the show notes and in the description of wherever you find this podcast. Thanks again, Laura. Have a wonderful rest of your day, your week, month, and your year.
Ananda, I love you. I love the work that you're doing. And I know that you're touching hearts and lives and people's minds at this time when people are waking up. We're in Aquarius. You are a gift. You are a beacon. You are a treasure, and you are a joy to be around. And I very much enjoy you. And I look forward to our growth together. Thank you.
All I can say is thank you, Ashe, 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 Ashe. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, tune in to the next messages for juicy invitations, especially for you. I want to offer you an opportunity to become a soft revolutionary with me in 2023. That's right, a soft revolutionary. A soft revolutionary is a person who is ready to make a commitment to slowing down and offering yourself freedom today by any means necessary. And you're going to be able to do that with my support at 3 different in-person events that I'm hosting in January, February, and March in DC. So let me tell you what's about to go down. On January 22nd and February 26th and March 26th at 2 to 3 p.m., I am hosting the first ever Soft as Fuck Sunday series at Key Kratom CBDT, located at 1517 U Street, Northwest in DC. And so the Soft as Fuck Sunday series is sacred space for you to meditate, reflect, journal, set intentions, and share in a safe space with my support and with a safe community that I am looking forward to leading. Join me by going to anandaleeke.com/soft to get your ticket. Your investment is $23. And we ask that you wear your mask during the event to keep everyone safe. See you at the Soft as Fuck Sunday series. So 2023 for me is a year about diving deep into the self. I am diving deep into myself, and I'm helping my clients in my coaching practice, as well as in the Thriving Mindfully Academy, to dive deeper into themselves so that they can trust and understand and know themselves from the inside out. And one of the ways that we're doing that is through this incredible gift that I was invited to explore 2 years ago during my own coaching sessions with my amazing coach, Marilyn Fontaine. That gift that I like to call the gift that keeps giving is human design. Human design is many things to many people. And I always like to ask people to define it for themselves, because it really is an invitation to experiment and practice with a system that was developed in 1987. And human design is a self-empowerment tool. And for me, I say that human design is a self-empowerment tool that shows you where and how to access your body's awareness and wisdom. And in doing that, you empower yourself to be present, well, and the real you in your life, relationships, and career. Really what it does is it helps you thrive mindfully. And like we like to say, it helps you embrace thriving mindfully as a heart-centered approach to just being. You are a human being, not a human doing. And so human design marries ancient wisdom systems, including the African science of astrology. I did say African because astrology was born in ancient Kemet, which is known as ancient Egypt. It marries the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, and the Jewish Kabbalah, along with quantum physics. Now, I say that human design is a spicy gumbo that's made from a recipe that only you can enjoy. Your human design recipe gives you the ingredients you need to navigate your life and express your divine talents, skills, and potential. And these ingredients come in the form of some things that could sometimes confuse you. When you go to any human design website, you'll see this chart. It's a body graph, and you'll see numbers and shapes and astrological signs and planet signs, and it can look like a lot. And so with this body graph, you're able to see your human design type, also known as your human design aura. You're able to determine your strategy. There's 5 different energy types. I'm not trying to tell you all about them in one swoop, but there's an authority that helps you make decisions, make better choices in your life. There are profiles and centers and so much more. Now, one of the reasons why I'm sharing human design and taking a deeper dive into integrating it into the work that I do and helping to empower, inspire people just like you to show up as their real selves is because it's been one of the most powerful experiences that I've had. It's really given my life greater meaning and has helped me look back at different parts of my life and get a better understanding for how I was making certain decisions and how I got to this point. Now, it took me a couple months to really breathe it all in when it was first introduced to me in 2021. At one point, it clicked in, and then I took a deep dive into understanding it for myself, and then how I could use it in my business. And I took a couple of different courses with some human design teachers, and they introduced me to how to read a human design chart, how to support folks just like you who were new to human design, how to take my own understanding and open it up to inspire and empower you to get your own understanding, to practice it, and to get to know it by experimenting with it. Because that's the only way. You can read books, watch videos, hear podcasts, have someone tell you about it, but until you actually begin to experiment with it for yourself, then it doesn't really make a lot of sense for you. It's just up in your head. You gotta allow it to move into your body and allow it to move into your heart and your spirit. And so I have been able to show up stronger because of the human design. And in 2022, I started drawing my idea of what a human design chart looked like based on my features as an African American woman and my creativity. And when I started drawing my design, I started embodying it more. And it's something that I'm offering to folks that I coach, and I'm creating collages along with that. So I'm going to stop right there and just say that learning about and embodying my human design is a lifelong practice. It's magical, it's messy, it's mysterious, and it's meaningful. And it often feels like I'm in labor and I'm ready to give birth. That's why I turn to a coach to help me understand it. Because a coach held space for me and offered guidance and support. And that's what I'm doing now. And I call myself a human design doula because I'm holding space for you, where you're able to feel safe, seen, and heard. And in creating this sacred and safe space, I'm offering you compassion, curiosity, clarity, and a commitment to your highest good. And I'm offering you guidance and support so that you can learn and use human design in the way that works best for you. Tune into what I have to say next to find how we might work together in you learning and integrating human design into your life, relationships, and career. One of the best ways to develop your own understanding of human design is by getting a reading, by getting a coaching session. And so that's what I'm offering as your human design doula. Go to anandaleeke.com/human design to learn how we can work together. Thanks for tuning in to the Thriving Mindfully podcast. If you're ready to be inspired and empowered with my coaching support, join me in the Thriving Mindfully Academy. Visit anandaleeke.com/academy. Now, if you're ready to dive deeper and move past your comfort zone with my one-on-one coaching program, book a discovery call with me today. Visit anandaleeke.com. If you need something juicy to read, check out my 3 mindfulness books, Love's Troubadours, a self-love and yoga-inspired novel, That Which Awakens Me, a mindful creativity memoir, and Digital Sisterhood, a mindful technology memoir. Go to anandaleeke.com/books. All of my books are available on Amazon.com. Well, that about wraps us up. And as I always like to say, may we all continue to embrace thriving mindfully in everything that we think, feel, say, and do. See you next time.